name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. Okay, it is time to review Jane of Austen by Hilary Manton Lodge. This was the February book club choice, and it is a retelling of Sense and Sensibility. First off, if you haven't read Sense and Sensibility, you can still read this book and understand exactly what is going on. If you have read Sense and Sensibility, the order of things is a little different, but it is a very faithful retelling of Sense and Sensibility. So, at the time I finished Jane of Austen, I had not finished Sense and Sensibility, and well, if you watch my weekly wrap up in which I talk about Sense and Sensibility, which I'll link down below, and I will link my blog post for it down below, you will understand that was a good thing because I did not enjoy it. I enjoyed this much more than the Austen version. So this tells the story of the Woodward sisters who live in San Francisco. Their father becomes a wanted fugitive after he commits some... All right, where was I before the girls went insane? Oh, yeah. Synopsis. So the Woodward sisters live in San Francisco. Their father commits some financial crimes and goes on the run, and they are suddenly forced to fend for themselves and their younger sister, Margot. So our older sisters are Jane and Celia, and Celia is the oldest. So Celia embodies sense. Jane is sensibility. So Celia is the practical one, and Jane is the emotional one. Doesn't really translate very well in this book, but that's what they're meant to be. Fireball, you are done. So, they open a tea shop in San Francisco. It's very successful. And suddenly their lease is not extended when the owner of the building dies, and Celia decides that they need to relocate to Austin, Texas, where they can go live with family and start over. She has broken up with her long-term boyfriend named Teddy, and she just wants to escape the city. Jane agrees. Margot's going to have to start high school in San Francisco, and so they pack up shop and move to Austin. Now, so far, I'm totally good with it. It's very easy to read. The chapters are short. The quotes are hysterical. They nail Texas perfectly. Here's one for chapter 6. Out on these Texas plains, you can see for 1,000,000 lives, and there's 1,000 exits between here and the state line. That's very true. Texas is a very big state. People don't think about it. So as they're, driving into Austin, the trailer they're pulling behind their truck breaks loose, and they're rescued by Sean. When did the trash man come? My neighbor, I swear. Anyway, sorry. So he helps them. Jane falls head over heels in love with him. He's too good to be true. And so the story progressed from there. Now, there are some I can't say too much without giving it away, but some of it is just ridiculous, and I now understand why it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because Sense and Sensibility is ridiculous in the same manner, and thus it ends up in the retelling. And at the point where the ridiculousness happens, I was over it. I'm giving it grace in hindsight because it is actually in the original book. Jane is very emotional. She is in her early to mid 20s in this book, and she is something of an introvert. And when she falls head over heels in love, and he breaks up with her and runs away, she takes it much harder than an adult, in my experience, takes a breakup, but that's just my experience. So I found that a little unrealistic. And there are some navigational errors in the book. You know, they're coming from San Francisco, they're going to Austin, and yet somehow they're hitting San Antonio first and then driving north into Austin, which makes no logical sense. And there's another one where someone leaves his party to go to Dallas, but ends up in Mexico. I'm like, what? So there's some of that. Overall, this is just an easy, light. It's not super light. It's not a rom-com, but it's not overly emotional either. Romance. There is a little bit of a love triangle, but not too much. And I mean a little bit of a love triangle, but not too much. There are happily ever afters at the end of it. And it was a good read for the month of February. Okay, so overall, for February, this was an enjoyable retelling of Austen, especially since I ended up really not liking Sense and Sensibility at all. This was a much better version of it, in my opinion. Is it perfect book? No. Is it a great middle of the road, easy read that you can pick up as a palate cleanser or between heavier chapters of other books? Absolutely it is. So overall, I'm going to give it a good, solid 3, which is on my current scale is a Chesterton. Chesterton? Yeah, Chesterton. And, you know, it was perfectly enjoyable. I'm glad I read it. So, did you read it? Did you enjoy it? Discord was great. Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.